again. So this guy here, his name is Dale, and he's an interesting character. He's someone I met through a chance. That's not true, I guess. I discovered him through the internet on a subreddit talking about anarcho-capitalism, and he wasn't himself on the subreddit, but he had these promotional videos about his defense agency that he calls threat management centers. And he would be in these videos and he'd be showing all these services he was providing to the community of Detroit as a private security firm. And in a lot of ways, it answers the question of what could a crowd-financed, voluntarily financed police force look like. And it's kind of just recognized as being super radical, and I was never sure if the guy himself, this guy Dale who runs it, is himself radical, because in the videos, he kind of just comes off like a concerned individual who's, kind of out to help. And in fact, he is. Like, when I met him, I had a great conversation, and I'm like, yo, like, what are your politics? What are you thinking? Like, what's going on in your head? And he's like, I'm just doing this because I was there, and it was kind of like his duty, he felt, to provide the service because he had the training to do it and do it better than he thought anyone else could do it or was willing to do it in Detroit. And, I think his video speaks for himself, but before I show you the video, I wanted to just go through his website a little bit and show him off a bit. So he's got, let's see, you got About Us. We got all sorts of stuff. Instructors. So there's this guy Dale. And damn, this is pretty hardcore. They got dog tags. The Vipers. All right, well, next time I'm going to... This isn't a very good bio. This is the person's name. Oh, it just says instructors, no bios. Okay. You guys, give him what you said you're going to give. Here's where it'll get interesting. Yeah, so here's Dale Brown. Commander Brown began training people on Detroit's east side to protect their families and businesses from violent drug gangs. So he teaches these survival scout programs. And they're all about self-defense, gunfire evasion, basic first aid, conflict avoidance, personal discipline, threat awareness, and problem solving. And based on my conversation with him, I have a feeling he probably stresses this conflict avoidance a lot. He had a really great way about approaching it. It was very interesting and uplifting how he explained how he would solve a problem in the least possibly violent way because it made his day better and because it made everyone else's day better. And how he would go and just kind of negotiate with people either selling drugs in the territory he was protecting or, selling disputes. He kind of just had this very even-handedness about it. And he was a true professional, really was. Just in my, short time talking with him. I actually met him at Voice and Exit. This was 2016 in November. He was one of the keynote speakers. And so I had the chance to record a conversation with him. So let's see. We'll get this video playing.
Being considered a place of return to great favor.
You are, man.
Ready?
Yeah, whenever you are, man.
I'm Dale Brown, founder and director of operations for the Detroit Threat Management Center. The city I'm from is currently being considered a place of return to great favor There's gentrification taking place. Historically, the reason why Detroit is the way it is because, unfortunately, there were quite a few people that did not want to share the community, no matter what economic class the people were in. They didn't want to share the community with African Americans. African Americans were not allowed to live wherever they wanted to. So as they became northern from the slave plantations and from the southern regions of America, as they came to Detroit, Detroit was 90% European American. The white people did not want African American neighbors, and they left in droves. And this is something that went on for a long time. It was a sundown town. Detroit was known as a place where if you were African American and you were found outside of what was called Black Bottom, the white people that lived there, as well as the police, would kill you, beat you to death. And so it was a long process, but African Americans worked hard, worked in the factories. In fact, when the first African American was hired to work during World War II in the factory, 20,000 white men walked off the job, and they said they'd rather lose to Hitler than work next to a nigger. And so when we look at Detroit today and we look at how the people are suffering, there's great poverty, we have to remember the reason why this happened is because the people did not want to employ African Americans. They did not want to have big corporations there to serve them, and they did not want to protect them. So Detroit became a place that was dystopian, a place of poverty, a place of suffering, a place where pollution and violence were pervasive, but it was also permissive. It was allowed to happen. If we want to create safe communities, we do that by preventing violence from occurring, not by letting things happen and then try to figure out who did these things to people. We simply protect the people as though they're valuable. And that's what my organization does. What we do is create conditions for families to prosper by creating safe havens for them, by not letting predators have access to families. As a result, the building owners that don't experience robberies, rapes, and killings, they prosper. And they in turn pay us. We're an NGO. And what I do is I find the value in preventive services, and then I find rich people to pay for them, and the poor people also benefit. The city also benefits because we create conditions where violence does not occur, so everyone is successful. And now we are seeing more and more different cultures coming together. So there is more African American and European American and Latino American people coming together, living in harmony. And what we hope is that that still improves and increases, and that there's no fixation on prosecution, that we fixate on protection of all people and the love of humanity. And the key is to create conditions where people can have a good quality of life, not centered on prosecution, but centered on protection of people and their communities to create a safe quality of life right there in Detroit, and then extend that. This is the objective of my organization, to extend it through educational facilities, teaching people how to defend themselves and their families from violent criminals, while simultaneously teaching police officers how not to injure people or get killed while subjugating people, and showing police officers lots of methods for not having violence in the first place. So that's why I'm here at Voice and Exit this year, 2016. The objective was to share with people how we're able to, in Detroit, create safety, and then hopefully, come here to San Antonio in the future, or Austin, Texas, and other cities, and share this vision really throughout the world, and show people how to create nonviolent outcomes through non-adversarial interaction. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so as you can see, talking with Dale was just a pleasure. And really one of the coolest things about his kind of whole take on the world, I guess, was that he had such a Detroit specific view of the world, and he was explaining to me this problem, how they've just been branded this certain way. There's this narrative that's hanging over Detroit, and everyone thinks that's what Detroit's about, and it's not dictated by the people living there. And so, I remember I was having a conversation with him, and I was like, oh, Detroit, I hear that's here it's really rough out there. It must be tough. You're doing a security thing. And he's like, yeah, there's troubles, but the way people make it sound, and the stuff that gets reported on, apparently isn't really the case to the extent that he was saying the narrative's been overblown and it's kind of out of control. So I've never been to Detroit, but I do think I'll be going around June time. I'll be part of this traveling um, exhibit essentially that my cousin Stanzi Vabel is running. So that'll be cool, and I'll hopefully meet a lot of people in the Midwest because I think it hits a couple of cities along the way, and then past Detroit as well. So I'm hoping to get some firsthand experience about Detroit. But yeah, this is kind of the intrigue for me about doing a project like Bad Mirror TV, is that you can get people who are living in what we perceive to be the most dangerous city in the world, or I'm sorry, not the world, dangerous city, one of the most dangerous cities in the country, and yet this guy who provides security services to certain communities says, like, it's not what it seems. And of course, the fact that what he's doing is profitable, and to the extent that he can continue doing it, is that the police and the state providing this service is doing it so inadequately that there's room for non-subsidized competition. Although I suppose it's not subsidized though, it's crowdfunded. So unless, I don't know if they get grants from the state, it's possible that they do, and to that extent they'd be subsidized. But I mean, still, like, you're going up against fully subsidized police force, or providing more or less similar services, because a lot of what they do is patrolling the streets, making sure that the neighborhood's safe. It's really, really incredible. I mean, talk about challenging narrative. That's just bonkers, really. So when I'm in Detroit, I'm definitely gonna check it out. I'm gonna go to their office and hopefully get a drink with Dale, because he's the man, and he's a real open-minded, good person. He gave a great speech. I'll link to it if Voice and Exits publish their videos from this year, if they've done it yet, and if they do it in the future, hopefully I'll remember to do it. But yeah, this was my video talking about meeting with Dale, and yeah, it was definitely a pleasure talking to him.